Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Rebel HR Wednesday morning. Ask me anything. I'm excited today. Why am I excited today? I woke up. I'm here again. I have another day to get it right or try. And that's a good thing. So I'm going to give everyone a minute to join. Please go into the comments and pop in a little hello. Let me know where you're joining from. If you don't put anything in the comments, I have no idea that you're here. And maybe some of you like that, and that's okay. I don't mind looky-loos. Feel free. But I definitely also would like people to join who have good questions and keep the conversation interesting and going. Just want to a couple housekeeping things. So we're streaming live on LinkedIn every week, and we're also streaming on YouTube. If you are not following me on YouTube, which you're not because nobody is, please do go subscribe. I am trying to build that following. And I've never done anything on YouTube in my life, so I have no idea how to do that. So I guess if you follow me on LinkedIn and you like my content, go also follow me on YouTube. Another housekeeping thing, I have recently, hey Josh, I'll tell you about the interview, but I recently started a little buy me a coffee page because I do a lot of this kind of thing and giving away my information, knowledge, wisdom. I take a lot of time to clarify misunderstandings out on LinkedIn. I do this weekly live Ask Me Anything. I've built an entire community where I help people with job search guides and strategy, and I do a lot of pro bono coaching. But I also need to get supported because I pay for a school community page. I pay for StreamYard so I can come do this for you guys. It does cost money to be out and visible. So I'm not looking to necessarily make money, but I would love to at least break even. So if you find value in my content, I will invite you to please buy me a coffee. I love coffee. In fact, I'm drinking it right now and every single time I'm on screen. That's why we call it the live AMA coffee chat. So anyway, I will leave that up there for most of the show. If you want to support me, I appreciate it very much. You can support me with tiny amounts, literally the cost of a cup of coffee, and I'm grateful for any and all of it. So I'm not going to talk about it a lot because that makes my little GenX heart cringe to self-promote and ask for anything. So I'm going to probably not do that anymore. But I do want to start out until we get to the question portion where people drop in questions in the comments. I wanted to start with several posts I've seen over the last several days. There's this perception all of a sudden that what's happening out here is that no one is getting any traction because companies, hiring managers, and recruiters are looking for the perfect candidate. The reason you're not getting callbacks is because we are holding out for the unicorn, purple squirrel, perfect candidate. And I can absolutely understand where that perception is coming from. So I wanted to explain it because it does make a lot of logical sense, and it's not an ethical debate, okay? It's not like, well, since it's such an employer market, right? So there's so much talent laid off and looking. Because that's the case, we can be total jerks and be completely unrealistic about trying to find perfection. And that's just not what's actually happening. What's actually happening is when you have a glut of talent, which means very high applicant volume for most roles, right? You're forced to come up with many more ways to filter Okay. That's when certain arbitrary things like gaps in your resume or imperfect trajectories or, um, you know, uh, all these other things that aren't really like big game changers, that don't necessarily move the needle very much, right? Like somebody having a gap in their resume because they had to help, their sick parent or whatever at end of life, like that doesn't make somebody, that's not a proxy for candidate quality. And that's not actually what we're doing. What we're doing is if I have 100 qualified people, I have no choice but now to look at arbitrary things to get down to 10 or 15 that I can actually talk to. Okay. I can't talk to 100 qualified candidates for one particular job. That doesn't make any sense. So, when we're in a talent market that is inherently an employer market, meaning employers have the upper hand, they have the leverage, right? There's tons of talent on the market, so they're calling the shots. It's not like all of a sudden now, okay, now we're unicorn hunting. No, that's not what's happening. What's actually happening is we have so many more applicants, so we have to be more rigid or rigorous about screening down to 10 or 15 people. So, no, you're not getting rejected because you're not perfect. You're getting rejected because there were others that were closer to perfect than you. I don't even like the word perfect. Nobody expects perfection. They were better aligned. So hiring for everybody involved, the recruiter as well as the job seeker, should be about alignment, best possible alignment. That doesn't mean the best talent. It doesn't mean the best, most qualified. It means the best aligned for that role on that team in that company, which in, it considers a lot of other elements, right? Like when we're calibrating with a hiring manager about, the target that we're going after for a particular role, we're looking at what strengths and weaknesses already exist in that team, right? Maybe everybody is really strong around one particular technology, but there's this other technology that's pretty weak in the team. Nobody is an expert. So we're over indexing on this next hire on that particular technology. We want somebody that's more strong than you would normally be for that role in that technology because that's what this team needs. Okay. There's just always more context that as job seekers, we don't have visibility into. And I want to share that because if you consider that when you're searching, when you're strategizing your job search, it makes for a more well rounded perspective and it'll help you position yourself because you understand what's happening on the other side as well. That's why I'm here. That's why I created Rebel HR. That's why I show up so that I can help clarify all the things that are said on LinkedIn minus context and nuance, right? So when you have an opinion or a hot take, right? And you take all the context and nuance out of the hot take, it becomes engagement bait or even often rage bait. And that's what people are doing to hook your attention. But again, you guys are still at choice. We're all still at choice. The algo mirrors what we interact with and what we engage with, right? So if you engage with every post that you don't like or don't agree with, you're just going to get a lot more of that. Hi, that's what my timeline looks like. My timeline looks like the most ridiculous recruiting and TA takes on earth because that's what I respond to because I'm trying to clarify the misunderstandings, the disinformation, the intentional disinformation being peddled to create fear, to part job seekers from their money. That's what I exist out here to do, is to kind of balance out all of that. Job descriptions should be written like software requirements. Context is very important. Yes, and you can't, if we put all the relevant context, right, about the existing team, what we're looking for, why we're looking for it, into the job description, it would be a 12-page job description. So like, we're not going to add all the context. Okay. We could add certain context clues, but I'm going to tell you something. I've been doing this for 27 years. Okay. In 27 years, I've probably entertained, I want to say I've got to be in the 5-digit interview at this point. Like, there's no way I've only interviewed, under 10,000 people. I've got to be in the tens of thousands at this point. Maybe not. I don't know. I got to do some math on that. But the point is, I can tell you that over the course of a very lengthy, very robust and involved recruiting career, that people don't read the job descriptions. They read it, they skim it, and they read enough to believe that they're fairly well aligned. They don't read it for detail. They don't read it for nuance. They don't read it for a whole lot of understanding. Although I will say, so Josh asked how the interview went last week. I had an interview following this sesh last week. Okay, so I told everybody on the call about it. That was one of the most interesting interview experiences I've had. Here's my feedback on it. So one of the things they did better than any company I think I've ever seen is the amount of information, context, nuance, clarity that they added in the process. So the job description was maybe the most thorough I've ever seen. Thoroughly talking about the hiring manager from the lens of the hiring manager. This is who I am. This is what matters to me. This is why the role is open. This is what matters for the role. This is what I'm specifically looking for. This is what I'm not looking for. This is what will make a great candidate. This is what will make a not great candidate. It was so thorough. It was incredible. And then I happened to reach out to somebody I'm connected with on LinkedIn who runs the whole team. And I said, I'd really love the opportunity to interview. I'm pretty sure that's the only reason I actually got one. But anyway, so I went to the 30-minute phone screen, which there was a whole set of documents and background and more context and what to expect and the breakdown of the 30-minute screening call and how many minutes would be spent on each thing. It was almost too thorough and transparent. Okay, nothing's ever too transparent for me, but too much structure leaves zero room for, I don't know, outlier aspects of the conversation, or like just, it was so rigid and structured. I knew I wasn't a fit before I even went to the screen. But here's what I didn't like about it. It did say that, this stage of the process was more focused on understanding me, my desires, what I'm looking for, what I want next, how I can bring value, blah, 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 blah. And it said it wasn't over indexing on, at this stage, metrics, analytics, etc. Great. I already knew what the whole process was. It was like a 5-step process with a assignment and a panel and all kinds of things, which is great. I don't mind rigorous interview processes, because if it's not a rigorous interview process, it means it's going to be an interesting culture of just everybody lands there, kind of. I would prefer more rigor and a higher talent bar personally. But anyway, so based on that feedback, right? Like, this is more about you and getting to understand you and da 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 da. And it wasn't like a deep dive into like analytics and dashboards. Cool. So I managed the interview accordingly, right? Or my half of the interview accordingly. I did get rejected. I expected to get rejected. It's also, remember, I interviewed with somebody who would be my boss, who's been doing this for a third of the years I've been doing it. So like, there's so many factors and reasons why I didn't expect to move forward. I have a very healthy level set expectation. I encourage that for everybody, because it does help with the mental load and the emotional tax of it all. I have a very healthy perspective about not taking things personally. I can handle rejection, all that, right? But anyway, What bothered me is that in the rejection email, it did give feedback, which you would expect anything this transparent and thorough. There would also be an element of feedback. And the feedback is I didn't move forward because I didn't speak to my experience in terms of metrics and analytics. So, in spite of the fact that that was not the focus of the call and that it was more about me and my interest, I answered the questions about my different roles and my experiences in different positions from the lens of what I was told the conversation would really be about. And then I was rejected based on something I was told the conversation wouldn't be about. So I only go to say, be careful. Recruiters out there, I love transparency. And I think there are really good and transparent ways to message around the process and so people know what to expect. But because it was so structured and focused and I took it literally, it ended up negatively impacting me. Or, I was only given a courtesy email because I have a lot of followers and because they didn't want me to like be out here talking about whatever and ageism and blah, blah, blah. And so whatever, like, and that I was never going to move forward to begin with, which is a real possibility, but I don't really care. Again, I'm team discriminate earlier than later because why would I want to waste my time? And why would I want to work for a company that only is interviewing me because I was really good at tricking them on my resume to think that I was younger? Like what is the upside of that? That's a conversation that's an interesting one for us to have here. It's like, especially around ageism. There's all this guidance out there, and I think it's just crapola guidance in general. But like, don't put the years of your college. First of all, the year you graduated college tells me nothing unless you went the day, like the year after you graduated high school. I can do the 18-year math and blah, 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 like anybody else, but that's not always accurate. And, why? What is it that we're trying to avoid here? Anyway, so that was my experience. Didn't love it. Not a fan. Yeah, but enough about me. So if you're joining now, I just wanted to like remind you, I have my buy me a coffee QR code up there because, I like coffee and also the things that I pay for so that I can be supportive to job seekers, supportive to other recruiters, just supportive in general out here. Some of those things cost money. So yeah, I appreciate the support. And I will keep showing up and keep being a snarky bee out there because, yeah, I'm getting tired of, the grifters. I'm getting tired of the scammers. I'm getting tired of the 23-year-old career coach who's not had a career yet. I'm just getting tired, right? And I have all this experience and I'm funny and fickle and weird about monetizing it or asking to or whatever. I don't love the transactional world we live in. I'm very much relationship oriented and driven. And a lot of people poured into me throughout my life. I want to pour into everybody else, but I also have bills. So there's that. Sarah, what Sarah asks, and I adore Sarah, if you're listening here and you need a good, solid leadership coach or, somebody to really just help you get clear on certain things at the leader level, Sarah is a rock star. So highly recommend. And she asks, what's the best option for a recent public culture grad? What is that? Who wants to work remotely because of commuting hell? Are there any people, culture, public, remote roles that exist for early careers? She has years of work history in CX leadership and administrative positions. Well, let's talk the facts of the matter. I mean, the reality is it's incredibly challenging in this market. I'm going to take this down. It's really hard in this market to pivot because for the reasons I explained before, it's like when there's a glut of talent, the expectations on the hiring manager side are a little different. Also, why are we hiring outside of this space to somebody that we'll have to train? We probably don't have the bandwidth or the training resources. It's going to be really challenging. So it's a little, that's a tough one. I'm not saying it's impossible, but let me look again. I will also say, like, so in the people sphere, people leaders, talent leaders, HR, culture, people ops, that whole area, we experience a higher rate of unemployment than other areas, right? So when there's a riff, this area, and we're seeing it in with the Bolt thing and the, all the little PR nightmare stories out there about HR being devalued, and now all of a sudden they're cutting, half their HR function and blah 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 because AI and whatever. It's a really hard time for people to try to transition into the people function. It's just couldn't be a more difficult time. And that's just a real feedback. The best option for that person is going to be to take their prior experience. So if their history is in customer experience, try to find a specific customer experience company. So like that's the focus of the company is customer experience, and try to be a people, try to get into the people function at a customer experience company. Also, expect to start at the bottom. You're going to be starting in an HR generalist role or a people ops role or something like that. It's going to be more than likely a lower level role to work through up to the level of experience there. But that's what I would do. So bridges are the best way to pivot. Again, it's much easier in a different kind of market. So when we have trouble finding talent, that's when we start purposely thinking about transferable skills and what industry could we tangent from or pull from, what makes the most sense. Right. And that's when we start thinking about what are some, like adjacent industries that are very similar, or like in sales, you can sell a different product into the same customer base, or you can sell the same product into a different customer base, but there's always a tether to a product, an audience, or an industry. So in this person's case specifically, I'm going to go with expect it to be hard, expect it to be, like to take longer than it should. Also, this is where network helps a lot. Hey, guys, people are underutilizing online communities. And let me say that one more time. You guys are underutilizing online communities. Tell her to find a good people ops or a good people and culture community and go commune. That means develop relationships. That means show up to the Friday lunch talks, the webinars, the live streams, engage, so that as things come open and these people know that you're transitioning, they'll help you. Okay. I really think that communities are the next big play in not just hiring and job search, but selling things, buying things. Known entities, as deep fake AI rises, known entities become trusted and powerful places to look. Okay. So for this person, two things, Sarah, tell her, get into a really solid HR community. And I do have some thoughts around that. I can send you a list or some referrals around that. I can't wait till the Hive Finder Hub. We are building, me and two co-founders are building the Yelp for online communities to give structure and visibility to, like, where should I join? What's the best online community for me based on what I'm trying to achieve and who I am and what matters to me? I want to go sit and hang out with like-minded people, and also learn things and also get referrals to things and. Okay. So for her, it's two things. It's get in the right communities and also bridge to that customer experience. There are a boatload right now of AI tech customer experience companies. Think chatbots. One that I know of that's based in Toronto is called Ada, ADA, after Ada Lovelace. And Ada is a CX tech company. For her to go with her CX background and be a people function in that company or in any kind of customer experience type environment, now you've got the bridge. So that's my advice. All right. I spent too long on that one. Sorry. But Sarah, I hope that's helpful. And of course, happy to, chat and hear more about that one. Okay. Hey, Miguel. Okay, so Nathan, having years in operations and being on the ground and doing the actual work, not just being a box checker, I find it amazing how there are so many assumptions that has been a lack of communication about a differentiation between box checkers versus actual operations builders and architects when they publish or begin seeking candidates for roles. Why wouldn't this be articulated up front? I'm going to have to read that again to get to the question here. Okay, so having years in ops and being on the ground and doing the actual work, not just being a box checker. It's amazing how there are so many assumptions. I'm not sure what those assumptions are, but there has been a lack of communication about the differentiation between box checkers versus actual operations builders and architects when they publish or begin seeking candidates for roles. Why wouldn't this be articulated up front? I think I understand what you're saying. I think you're asking about the difference between very tactical, box checkers who aren't thinking about strategic needs. They're just getting tactical work done versus the person who's always not just thinking about getting that tactical work done, but as they do it, is there a better way to be doing this? Is there a different process we should set up? Does this scale? Does this make sense? If that's what you're asking about, is the difference between strategic thinkers and more tactical box checkers, and why tactical box checkers are winning in this job market? Is that what you're asking? If that's what you're asking, I can actually answer that. So what I'm seeing is that with the contraction of jobs, it feels like the outliers are being left out more. So there's a filtering in to lower risk, more average type employees. Okay. These are not bad people. These are great people who are really good at following guidance and proper protocols, and they're compliance oriented, and they like to do things by the book, and they don't necessarily think about different or better ways to do a thing, but they are really good at doing the things. Well, so when companies become corporations, when companies scale up, they build the company as a machine. And the company machine is full of cogs and wheels and parts that are easily interchangeable. Hear what I'm saying to you, okay? The goal of a company as they scale is to get to a point where it's a machine that works in spite of, I can take this cog out and replace it with any other cog, and the machine still works fine. Okay. So strategic thinkers who are always questioning, why are we doing it this way? Why are we doing that? Does this make sense? Are not great cogs in a machine. Okay. Because we are slower than the next person who doesn't stop to question things. They just do the dang things. That's what a good cog looks like. Somebody who's going to get the things done and get it done compliantly. So there are different types of companies out there, okay? And you need to understand, Nathan, that a large established company is going to be a machine, and they're not going to be looking for those strategic thinkers who are going to throw them off every time. Maybe at the leadership level, maybe in very, very specifically strategic roles, yes, but not for the machine, not an operational cog in a machine. Okay. Where you'll better fit is in a smaller company that's looking to grow, that wants to scale. So between either you're a small company and you want to go through a growth, maybe you were, there was a PE reinvestment, that's private equity reinvestment, some kind of influx of cash where now the purpose is to get from where we are here to where we're trying to go. In this period is where there are no cogs or wheels. There's no machine built. The machine is built for this size. In order to make the machine this size, grow to this point, we have to break this machine and rebuild it up here. Okay. That's not a cogs and machines function. Okay. So when a company is either a startup and they're scaling up and needs strategic thinkers, or whether, again, it's a small company that's always been a small family owned company, now it gets a PE reinvestment and boom, now it's got a 10x goal. That requires a new build. So, Nathan, go where they're building. You'll be appreciated. The critical thinkers, the strategic people, the questioners, the renegades, the misfits, the me's, the yous, the people hopefully I'm attracting to this, because that's what I relate to, right? So we're not cogs in the machine. We have to look for someone building the next machine and go there. Okay? Go where you're valued. Stop expecting the world to change to value you. Go where you're already inherently valued. It's very rigorous, rigid, structured people who love, you know, redundance and repetition and getting good at doing these same things over and over make awesome cogs in machines, and those are some really good jobs and they pay fine. There's great opportunities. So know who you are. The net is self-awareness is your friend. It's a weapon. The better you know yourself, the more effective you are, because you'll know exactly which environments make the most sense for you, and you're going to put all your effort into those and none of your effort into trying to get into a role that doesn't make sense and isn't well aligned for you to begin with. So my 2 cents on that, or should I say 7 cents adjusted for inflation. Let's see, what else. Okay, Josh, hopefully this is something I should be showing. So thank you for sharing how your interview went, understanding your expertise based on that experience and the actual feedback you received. What advice would you give to a job seeker when it comes to interviewing, especially after you were told the process, followed it, and then received the feedback you did? I don't regret it, that I did it the way I did it. So my advice to people around interviewing is going to feel counterintuitive. It also is going to require you to be willing to walk away from roles that you are not well aligned for. Okay. So hear that again. You got to be willing to walk away from things that don't fit you in order to be super effective. So for me, I think everybody should be super clear on who you are, what value you add, how you add that value specifically, and in what environments is most valuable. Knowing that about yourself and showing up, and that's what you need to get across, is who you are, what you're looking for, what's the most aligned opportunity for you, how you add value, and where specifically that value is most value, like where it's most valuable. So I think that people should stop the 1,000 applications and get very niche, very focused, and very targeted. Get proactive, almost like you're an SDR or BDR inside of a business, right? You're going out looking specifically for leads that fit you. So what does that mean? Well, I know I don't fit in big companies. I know that I'm not great in structure. I'm not a cog in a machine. I'm really good at building machines. So I'm going to go find the environments that make most sense for me. So I'm going to build a 20 company list, and I'm going to target the crap out of those companies, and they're going to know who I am. That's my approach. But interviewing is to just be very honest, right? Be very honest. The biggest mistake I see people make in interviews is everybody shows up trying to win the interview. You show up to every interview trying to win, which means you show up with this energy of, I'm going to bend myself into a pretzel to be exactly what you want me to be. And it actually it shows up as weak. It shows up as a lack of self-awareness. It shows up as you need them more than they need you. It's not a good place. You wouldn't show up to first dates with that same energy, with what are you looking for? I can be that. That would be super inauthentic and cringe and weird. And it's actually repellent. Like, I hope this is really helping somebody. I hope someone's listening to this, because when you show up like, I can be whatever you want me to be, it repels people. It's not like you're bad, it's not like you're wrong, and I understand that we are driven by our need to pay bills and our need for a livelihood and our need for survival. We did this absurd thing, which is we tied survival to work. Not we, but the overlords. We tied survival to work, which makes perfect sense if you want to exploit people and you always want people working and building wealth for you. Of course, you have to tie their own needs to that thing or they won't do that thing. So that's what we did. And that's what we created. And here we are, right? So I get why everybody is like, I have to show up to be whatever they want me to be because I need to pay my bills. And I feel nervous about that. But it's counterintuitive. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's like the lonely person showing up on the first date, like, I'll be whatever you need me to be. It's like, please don't show up to an interview or a date like an eager golden retriever. I love golden retrievers. I love all dogs, but like, you have to show up like you are bringing value. Like the person on the other side need you as much as you need them, right? And again, if both people are seeking real alignment, it makes it very easy for honesty to happen, right? If everybody's trying to be what the other one needs, there's no honesty there. Have you ever been on a first date and both people were trying to be their best? They had their best representatives show up to the date and neither person was on that date. It was their best representatives. Like, why? I always was one to want to be really myself on a first date so that I wouldn't spend more dates wasted, with somebody who isn't attracted to who I actually am. You have to be really like good with yourself to show up this way. This is what real confidence looks like, right? Like I know which roles I want and I know which ones I don't. That's a confident place to interview from. Okay. Like it's your idea. It's with intention. I'm showing up to this interview with the intention of finding real alignment, which means I'm going to tell them what I really am looking for. And whether it's that or not is okay because the goal is actual alignment, not getting any job. Now, if you want just any job, then like you got to rethink what are you targeting? Don't target jobs where they care a lot about the person that they hire into this role and alignment matters a lot for them. If you just need any old job, there are other ways to accomplish that. Um, so yeah, I hope that's helpful, Josh. I think hopefully that's helpful. Conrad, how are you? I came from school, but the links for all the calendar, it's late to the I'm so sorry about that, Conrad. I'll have to fix that. I'm not sure. It's like every week when I set this thing up, the link changes. So it's hard. I have to like repost it inside the school thing. And I apologize. I always have it on LinkedIn. You can always find the link to the Wednesday morning call on my page. It's usually there like 2 hours before 8. And it's always in events. You just click on the event tab and it's always the latest one there. Yeah, apologies, but I'll do better. I'll make sure that school has this posted as well. Yeah, sorry about that, Conrad. Do you have any questions while you're here? Feel free to throw one in there. I was just wrapping the last question up anyway, so it would be great timing. I'll take that down. And in between questions, I'll just remind everyone again, I really, really hate bringing this up, but there's a buy me a coffee link because I do have to pay for StreamYard and I do have to pay for all these different ways. The school platform is not free. StreamYard is not free. Everything costs money, but I won't stop showing up even, if it does cost me money, because I genuinely do want to help people. But I threw it there because I figure, if this is valuable for people, they'll buy me a coffee. And again, we're all looking out for each other. It's a weird dystopian shitscape, and it's going to require a lot of community to get through it. I think that's my hypothesis. So what else? Oh, let me throw this also up here. This is the link for the school community. I don't know if you can copy it off of there, but I do have another QR code. So we'll hide the buy me a coffee, and that's the join the Rebel HR community. So that's the link up here. Now this QR code this QR code up in the left corner will take you to that school link that's on the bottom. Just go ahead and join. Everyone can join free. There are support ways to subscribe in there and pay if you choose to. But it's really designed to make it easy for anybody to join. I knew that job seekers, in order for us to help them, that I had to make a way for them to just be able to join very simply and for free. And that's the way I've set it up. So that's the other reason I added the buy me a coffee, is because I didn't want to make the community subscription gated, because I don't want to leave anyone out. And yeah, so, okay. So I'm going to take this off. I'm going to go ahead and scan that school QR code. I'm going to take that one down. I'm going to add this one back. And we'll take this down. Drop your questions in the chat though. Go ahead. Oh, while I'm out here, I wanted to also, this is not a sponsorship or anything like that, but I do really like what Devin Patel is doing with roll.com. So roll.com, and by the way, I do sometimes sponsor some companies, and I'll do sponsor posts, and maybe I'll get episodes sponsored, but I'll never, and hear this is really important to hear this because I mean it wholeheartedly. I will never take money to promote something that I wouldn't also promote for free. Okay. So I'm promoting roll.com, not for money, but because I really believe in what Devin is up to. So what I love about roll.com is, unlike LinkedIn and Indeed, it is only jobs that have been verified on the company career page. No duplicates, no ghost jobs, no jobs that are posted and reposted for months and months on end. All that gets cleaned out. So what Devin is working on with roll.com is reducing the noise for job seekers and having a cleaner starting point, right? A cleaner slate for your job search, so that you aren't also dealing with all these absurd scraped pay-per-click Lensa jobs. If you ever fallen into a Lensa job application, I am so sorry. I did that, and 8 clicks later, I don't know where I even was. I don't know what I signed up for, but it was a disaster. And now Lensa won't stop emailing me. And I mean, it is obnoxious. So check out roll.com and thank me later, because it's a really good one. All right, drop more questions. We have time for more questions. I'm going back to the comments. All right, let's see. Okay. So Nathan said, actually, I'm not expecting things to change. I am not the cog in the machine type at all. I know you're not. However, I now am been learning how to integrate and red team systems and diagnose symptoms. I take my operational background to break down and resolve and problem solve and find a solution, and have been able to do that consistently. I've been able to see a pattern that works 90+% of the time. And I think that may be a new market for a skill in the new job market, where those cogs, probably you're going to say, don't work out as well. So Nathan, what you just said was really good. And here's the thing. You should share that in a good post, right? So one of the best ways for job seekers to post on LinkedIn is to talk about aspects of your current work or any consulting things that are actually applicable in the real world, courses you're taking, AI things you're learning, AI things you're building. Like, that's how job seekers should show up out on LinkedIn. Do I understand the venting and the frustration? Absolutely. But like, go do that on Reddit as, aggravated alligator. Like, don't do it on LinkedIn to the same people who might have a job for you. That doesn't necessarily make a ton of sense, but Nathan, what you just talked about in this one particular comment, you could do a whole post about that. Talk about the way you see new operations roles, how you can leverage, the kind of strategic thinking that you've done up to this point in your career and how you're applying it in the real world now in this changing market. There's going to be a ton of new roles that don't exist today. A lot of architect, and I don't mean just technical architect, workflow architecture, right? I know a lot of HR people are shifting towards more like workflow, work architecture, so they can help the right people and the right AI resources and tools have the best solutions. But a lot of orchestrator roles, right? People who know how to effectively apply different technologies and orchestrate bots to do, whether it's agents, agentic, or whatever kind of AI you're working with, there's going to be an orchestration layer. And there's going to have to be a human in the orchestration layer that is a subject matter expert on certain things so they can identify missing nuance that AI won't be able to identify. Okay. And so like think about that and talk about it and write about it out there. The people who are at the crest of the wave of like what's changing, they're actively positioned in the paradigm shift are going to be the ones who have a more critical positioning in it all. The ones who are just, I understand that change is scary. That's the real conversation here, is that change is scary and fear is what's underpinning a lot of what we're experiencing right now. And so if you're afraid that you don't know how to remain relevant in this next chapter, and that's a very real and very valid fear, then I highly recommend joining communities like this with people who aren't afraid, right? I'm not afraid of the change. I'm not afraid to adapt. I'm not afraid to shapeshift. I actually really like it. I'm excited by what's possible, what's coming, and we don't know yet. Like in that space of the unknown, that's exciting for me. It's petrifying for a lot of people. It's terrifying for a lot of people. So if you're a natural adapter, grab 3 that aren't. That's how I feel. All of us for whom this is like awesome, the next thing, right? We always have loved to live at the crest of the wave and change. If I didn't love change, I wouldn't be an early stage startup person, because change is the only constant in any startup, right? Every 3 months, it's like a new version of the company. It's like being in a new place, right? So I love that, right? And so those of us who are natural adapters and shapeshifters, grab 3 who aren't, because so many people are afraid right now, and it's super valid. So, but being curious is key. Being open is key. Asking questions is key. Getting in community is beyond key. Okay? This is what's working. So, no one wants to date the mean girl. So doing the venting post feels great, but it will cost you. Like, it's real, right? I'm a snarky bitch out here, but I do it with intention, and I do it knowing what it's costing me, like, and being willing to make that sacrifice. And no, it's not because I'm independently wealthy and like, I don't need to comply because I don't need income. That's not it at all. It's just that at this stage of my life, fighting who I actually am, fighting my own authenticity, it doesn't work. I'm ineffective. I'm effective when I'm me. And so while it may cost me some structured opportunities, some opportunities where pedigree and formality and trajectory and rigor are critical, like that's okay. I don't fit there anyway, and I'm okay with that, right? I definitely over index for job seekers on, you want to be as self-aware as possible. It also will help you adapt, right? Even if you have absolutely no clue how to adapt in this market, in this changing market, and what you're shape-shifting to, you can getting uber clear on who you are now. Like what's your A? I have to get to Z, but who am I at A today? Get clear on that, because it's almost impossible to adapt without a foundation of self-awareness. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. I know where I'm happy. I know where I'm not happy. That's a great starting place for now I get to adapt. Okay. And those are the kinds of things that I can help more deeply with inside of the Rebel HR community, in coaching calls, things like that. So I do want to let job seekers know I do offer coaching. I do pro bono coaching for those who need it. I do paid coaching for those who can. I also offer advisory to HR and talent tech builders in the space. I have a phenomenal perspective around go-to-market, messaging, product marketing, and that kind of thing. And as well as TA leaders and recruiting leaders who are looking to put good AI in their process, or good friction at top of funnel, and want to message it out in a way that's not going to repel their target audience. I have a phenomenal idea right now about adding an AI two-way screening to the top of the funnel, and how you can best message that out. I personally, right now, if I were to add that to my process, I would do a video of me talking to my applicants about why we're using this tool, exactly what it does, how it evaluates, how it works, why we're using it. And I would put myself out there as much as what I'm asking them to do. And I just feel like it's a huge missed opportunity for companies. I'm seeing some of the worst tech and friction placed into the interview process that I've ever seen, and with very little to no transparency or messaging. So you're not only adding this thing that no one likes, but you're then leaving the narrative open for them to make up the reasons as to why you're doing it. And let me tell you why they think you're doing it. They think you're adding this friction because you hate them. They think you're adding this friction because you do not value their time. This is your target audience. They think that you hate them, you don't value their time, that you are exploitative of a terrible job market, all kinds of things. So, like, that doesn't make sense. If you're going to put some of this stuff in your process, message it well, explain it, defend it. I would. All right, what else? I was just going to say, I know you are a disruptor and a strategic changer. Based on your comments you just made about being a cog versus a changer, you mentioned looking at smaller to mid-sized companies. Your comments were an aha as well as a now it makes sense. So my question is, how do we make sure that the company is financially stable? That has been a big issue for me. I can't come right out and just ask for their financial statements as much as I want to. I also understand your world. So Josh, you can't ask for their financial statements, but you also don't have to go after the mom and pop shop that has like 12 employees, right? So there's something between the mom and pop with 12 employees and Turner Perini. There's a lot in between that. So look for more of a mid-size, like a larger small company, or a mid-size company where there are some layers of hierarchy, where the people running the company, like the entire executive team, isn't family that started the company. Like, have they progressed past that immature? And don't get me wrong, there are some family-owned companies that do grow and mature and become well-established, stable companies, but that's probably the outlier. Normally, what you see is a mom and pop will get to a certain size, and then private investment will buy it, and a couple others like it, and have one consolidated larger company. Look for those, not the Turner Perini, not the mom and pop, the one where the PE firm just bought it out. That's a great opportunity, because they're building, they need some things done, or they're either building or they're shaving costs, which that's what PE firms do. They do both. They grow your revenue They help you grow your revenue and they help you cut your costs, sometimes to the detriment of the company. I don't love PE invested companies necessarily, but that's one way to identify the financial health of an organization, is PE reinvestment. If they are putting money into it, then they're committing to its success over a short period of time. Don't be fooled. They're not saying over the next 20 years we'll be successful. They're saying over the next 1 to 2, and then we're going to sell. So that is an opportunity in that 1 to 2 years. Does that help? Hopefully. LinkedIn user said, yes, I'm at the point where fighting who I am is exhausting. So I fit in. Yeah, dude, why are we all trying to fit in? I honestly think with AI increasing, our uniqueness will be our superpower. We just don't have, we've been doing this thing for so long where we've tried to be, measured by efficiency and metrics and these things, but AI is better than us on all counts of efficiency, speed, all these kinds of metrics that we're measured on. So now we're going to have to start measuring the other less measurable qualities of humans, the things that AI can't bring, the essence, the soul, the art, the humanity, the philosophy, the complex, thinking. That we need new vernacular to describe that. We need new ways to talk about how we add value, right? Because we no longer are as optimized, efficient, or whatever as AI. And those are the words we've been using to describe our value add for a long time. So that's what has to shift, is how we talk about ourselves, also how we value what we bring. But I honestly believe with the more AI, your uniqueness, your essence, your aura, your special flair, your you-ness is going to be the highest commodity, the most important thing that we bring to the table. It'll be the only thing AI can't bring, right? So, it does also make us question, why is AI being used to replicate human art when humans are really good at art because we put our soul into it? And damn it, AI doesn't have a soul. So what are we doing? Conrad said, could we have a session showing us how to effectively use LinkedIn Premium for networking with recruiters and hiring managers for our fields, since we can find jobs on roll.com? Yeah, I'd love to do that. I don't know that I could do it as an AMA because I would want to be able to bring up a screen. I haven't even figured out how to use all the tools on this StreamYard thing. But yes, I can bring things up and show you how I would do it. Or we could even do I can bring you up, Conrad, with me, and we can do live networking exercises. I can do examples with you. I would love to do that, actually. Let's think about that. Maybe that's something we do inside of the school community. I want people to be more engaged in the school community. It's less noisy than LinkedIn. So ask for what you want there too, please. It feels like a middle school dance and nobody will make the first move to get on the floor. I like to boogie. I don't know what to say. So yeah, Conrad, let me think about how we could do that in a format that makes sense. One thing that I have been recently working on is how, where, why, and rationalize portions of society that have opted out of interactions and linking psychology. So social culture, genetics, biological imperative, while doing that and linking how, where, why, and when they will be driven and impulse driven to take or withdraw actions, and being able to integrate AI and researching and linking patterns. It's too early, Nathan. I don't know what you just said. I haven't had enough coffee. But I think what you're doing is probably very cool. I know that you understand what you're talking about. Still happy to connect with you and help more on a one-to-one basis. Hi, Kristen. Been finding it incredibly, this is going to be our last question. Been finding it incredibly challenging to stand out on LinkedIn these days. Do you have any advice on how to maximize our efforts when applying to roles posted here? I do. So apply for less jobs, but put in more effort per application. So the questions, that the question boxes, the text boxes within the application that seem like they should be interview in-person questions, but they're in the application. Answer those like you're sitting in an interview in front of the person who's reading it. Like, don't use AI on those question boxes. I mean, you can use AI to you write your own answer to the question. If you want AI to look at it and clean it up, fine. But answer those thoroughly and with intention and you care. I don't know how to stress this enough, but when people are just applying to everything and putting 3 minutes into every application, we can tell it comes across exactly like that. I believe in the law of diminishing returns relates to job applications. Less apps, Kristen, more effort in the apps, more thought and thoroughness in the answers to those questions, and humanness. We don't want to see AI answers. We want to see you and how you actually think. And so, yeah, I would say that. And then you connect with people in the company. And honestly, this is where, Kristen, having a very niche focused search strategy to begin with helps. So anyone who works with me directly, we create a target list of companies. Like, these are the 20 companies that I want to work for, right? Yes, I'll take other jobs, or yes, I'll apply to other jobs, but these are the 20 I will go far out of my way to network with regularly, engage on their LinkedIn posts, comment on their stuff, post their stuff. It should get to a point that by the time they post a job that's in your wheelhouse, obviously it will be a company hires the role that you're looking for, right? So we've already done this research and they're on your list of 20 for a reason, okay? Maybe they don't have a role posted. That has nothing to do with it. Network anyway. And then they open a role. You're almost a known entity at that point. Make friends with somebody in the role you want in that company. This is the way, okay? Because the people who are intentional about their job search are the ones landing. Let me repeat that. The people who are intentional about their job search are landing. I personally have not been intentional about searching for a job. If I see a contract role that would be handy for me, I apply and I'm getting nowhere with it. I am doing my own. I have not made my job search a focus. Okay. Why? Because I'm building the Rebel HR and I'm building High Finder and I'm building Hire You. And I'm also doing all these other things. And yes, I do need to work and I would like some contract or freelance work because bills. The truth is that's not my number one focus and commitment. And so I haven't approached my own search the way I coach others to. But if it's your number one focal point and you're not also trying to build a consultancy and this and that and the other thing, and you're really focused on getting a very specific role in a specific type of company, do exactly that. Take it as a niche focused approach and strategy. We can pick this more up next week. I have to hop. But these are some really, really good questions and good conversation. And I think that, Kristen, you're a perfect person to be joining. I don't know, Kristen, if you're already, maybe you are already in the Rebel HR school community, but if you're not, please join us. I'm going to pop that widget up too. All right, so that's last QR code here. This is for joining the school community. Go ahead and join that. It's free community. Join. We'll do more of this stuff, but in there. And then this is the Buy Me a Coffee because I also need to be supported. I'll keep showing up. I'll keep helping. I'll keep offering pro bono coaching and all these other things, but I also do need some support to do that. So I appreciate everybody being here. This has been a really good one. Yeah, join on time next time so that we can get all the questions in earlier. It always gets really good at the end, and there's so many good questions that we don't have time to get to. But yeah, so join 8:05 next Wednesday. That's 8:05 Pacific, 11:05 Eastern, and the 5 minutes is just a buffer. But I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, join me in the Rebel HR school community, and we can keep these conversations going every day. I will see you later.